Today we're going to talk about the man who survived almost 3 days at the bottom of the sea. His name was Mr. Harrison O'Keene, and he was from Nigeria. And in 2013, with a lot of luck and intelligence, he managed to survive a shipwreck on board of a tugboat at the bottom of the ocean for almost 3 days. For those of you that don't know what a tugboat is, this is a tugboat. You see them all the time, and they're used to push, pull, or tow other larger vessels. So this is Harrison O'Keene, right here in the middle. And about 4:50 a.m., the tugboat that he was on started to capsize while he was in the bathroom. Now, could you imagine you're in the bathroom? And all of a sudden you're on a ship and the ship starts to go down. He actually had a window in the bathroom, and he actually saw 3 of his friends being dragged out to sea. Then with every passing minute, more and more water started to fill into the bathroom. But unfortunately, the door was jammed, so he couldn't get out. Being stuck inside, the only thing he could do was hope for a miracle, and he got one. Well, by some miracle, the way the boat flipped, an air bubble formed, and he was actually given a small space to breathe in right there on the boat. Unfortunately, the rest of the boat was flooded, but this gave him a slim chance at survival. He had to remove all of his clothing because they were weighing him down, and he couldn't swim to reach the air pocket each time. So down there in total, complete darkness, having to be naked, cold water, all sorts of thoughts going on in your head, not knowing what time it is, how long it's been down there, and being submerged halfway into salt water, it was a recipe for disaster. Now, as humans, we're not supposed to be in salt water for that long. It's not good for us, and our skin will start peeling off. Not to mention the fact that just being in water in general wrinkles up your body, and you get dehydrated. And now here he is down there for hours and hours, dying of hunger, thirst, and at the bottom of the ocean, pitch black and cold. Not knowing he's going to last much longer, he knew he had to get a way out. So he tries to break down the bathroom door, not knowing what could happen. So with all of his strength, he breaks down the bathroom door. Fortunately, nothing really changed, but now he had to figure out where he was going to go. It's total darkness. He has to plan his next route. If he makes the wrong choice, he ends up in a place where there's no air, and his story ends. But he was running out of oxygen in the room that he was in, so he had to go somewhere. Fortunately, he chose right and ended up inside the interior cabin of another part of the boat that had a lot more air and a lot more space for him to move around without as much of his body being submerged. From there, he decided to stay and plan his next move. But that's when he began to feel fear. Inside that room, he could hear noises of chewing sounds and some rotting smells. It was at this moment he realized that was the sound of other fish feeding off his friends, and he was likely next. So now he's been down there for 48 hours, cold, starving, dehydrated, running lower and lower on air, and even lower on hope, when he started to hear a larger noise. At first, he thought it was a rescue crew. Then, a larger fish coming to eat him. Or even it was a hallucination. Hallucination or not, he decides, I've got to make some noise. He starts screaming, help, help, save me, banging on anything he could, trying to make some sort of noise just to get noticed by whatever that is that he was hearing. And then out of nowhere, a diver appears. And then a second diver, and a third diver. Here's a picture of him from down there in the wreckage. The team was surprised to see him even still alive. So they equipped some diving equipment on him, gave him some water to hydrate him, and gave him a helmet with an oxygen mask on it so he could breathe and they could bring him back to shore. When he was rescued, because it had been pitch black and he had no time reference, he had no clue how long he'd been down there. His thought was several hours, but he was 90 feet below the surface, and they let him know he'd been down there for 60 hours. He was shocked and unfortunately suffered a lot of trauma from the situation, stating he still wakes up with nightmares of sinking and credits it all to a divine miracle. It's a good thing the divers arrived because they said there was very little oxygen left in that part of the cabin. So thank goodness for miracles. Like and subscribe for more stuff like this.